welcome one more time to the MILSET World Virtual Young Citizens Conferences 2020. The International Movement for Leisure Activities in Science and Technology MILSET presents this great program. The aim is to hear the concerns, proposals, and opinions of young people from all over the world regarding science and technology issues that affect humanity. This year, we have been confined by a super contagious virus, but we haven't been silenced. So, MILSET presents this conference cycle to give the latest information from top speakers and think how to invent a new world. My name is Liz Vela, MILSET Communication Manager, and I am sure you will enjoy this lecture. We are streaming live from MILSET Facebook and MILSET YouTube channel. I want to thank the MILSET Executive Committee, MILSET Honorary President, MILSET Regional Executive Committees, MILSET YCC Committee, MILSET members, and all the audience who is watching this broadcast. At the end of this conference, there will be a question and answer section, so we suggest writing your question through the corresponding channel. Now, I give the floor to MILSET President, Mr. Roberto Hidalgo. Roberto, you have the mic.
Thank you very much. Welcome everybody to our third session of the World Youth Citizens Conferences. And today we have a very high invited people who will talk to us about globalization of education. It is an honor for MILSET and for all its members to receive Mr. Haluk Karatas. He's from Turkey and he's the European Union project coordinator, and also he belongs to a very important association in Turkey that it is called INSPO, that it does mean the International Science Project Olympia. And he very kindly accepted to be with us today to talk about our third topic, that it is globalization of education. I just want to say that Turkey, it's a very important country for MILSET, because big delegation from that country has participated not only in our Youth Citizens Conferences, but also in Expo Sciences and photo contests. So we are very proud to receive today Mr. Haluk from Turkey. Welcome. And now I give the word to Mrs. Bere Suarez. She's our MILSET director, who will introduce us Mr. Haluk. Bere, please.
Thanks, Mr. President. And as you said, we are so glad to have this speaker in this conference. So we are delighted to introduce and welcome a passionate educator who represents Ocanius Education Foundation, and that is a MILSET member organization in Turkey, Mr. Haluk Karatas. Mr. Karatas, dual major holder, is a determined educator who has taught social studies and foreign languages at different levels. Lecturer at the Foreign Languages Department of Anadolu University for 5-year stint, and also he worked for private institutions, and currently he chairs the UE project at Department of Ocanius Education Foundation. Based on his coordination and involvement on Erasmus projects, he has had the opportunity to attend several conferences across European Union, spreading his knowledge about cross-cultural issues. Additional to his participation on debate programs on BBC Radio. Today, we receive Mr. Haluk in the MILSET World Virtual YCC cycle of conference to share his knowledge and experience under the topic Globalization on Education. Welcome again, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much, Ben, for inviting me to this distinguished event organized by MILSET. Before starting my conference, I want to extend my appreciation and gratitude for MILSET executive board members, and the ones in charge of this organization. I'm going to read their names: Ms. Berenice Suarez, and Ms. Lisette Vela Reyes, and Mr. Jose Alberto Garcia Torres. They did amazing things in the preparation of this conference. I know that among my audience there are really bright minds, enthusiasts listening to get an idea and impression to move on their life through implementing scientific projects. The MILSET aims to disseminate these ideas, create to leave impress on young minds, to motivate them for the betterment of our world. Globalization of education. When we talk about globalization, I know that many of you have something to say about globalization. Why? Because it's a broad meaning phenomenon. Everyone has something to say about the globalization. Today, I'm going to talk about the impacts of globalization on education. Before starting my conference, I want to explain what the globalization is, what we understand from this term when it is used. Globalization is a process of interaction and integration of people, companies, and people. As you know, advent of new technological devices, people started to easily travel from one point to another without any restrictions. For example, Turkey is an aviation hub, and then many flights today executed from Istanbul to anywhere, anywhere on our planet. Thanks to these developments, we see the impacts of these developments on education as well. But before starting to talk about the impacts of globalization on education, in broad meaning of globalization, many people see that, yes, globalization in some way is a good idea. Yeah, we see that the advent of ICT technologies, we connect with each other. But in reality, they say, in the adversary point of view, they say that advanced and developed countries use globalization as a means of exploitation of disadvantaged people. We may discuss these issues later in our question and answers session, sessions together. If you have any question wondering the other aspects of globalization, you may ask questions. But today we are going to focus on mainly positive impacts of globalization on education. Slide third. Before starting to my main point, I want to give a brief information about student exchange programs. Why I want to do that? Because these exchange programs today are available for every student living in every part of our planet. We know that many students are grown in disadvantaged areas, and then really very enthusiastic to go on their tertiary education in an advanced country or a really well-known university for their tertiary education. Erasmus is a common known given to all sorts of exchange programs organized by EU Commission. As you know, EU tries to give funds, grant funds for the schools, teachers to improve the quality of education across Europe. We know that newly accepted countries to the Europe, Turkey never to be accepted, we know that, because of some prejudices against our country. But it's okay. We are trying to do our best to be part of EU projects and EU unity. Turkish universities, schools also are part of this amazing web. Erasmus today is a common name for these programs. In the past, Erasmus just addressed the projects implemented for university level students. These are based on the exchange students. Students for a stint of area approximately 3 months to 12 months go on their education in a different university across Europe according to their preference. In Turkey also, these students may pick any university to go on some part of their stint in those universities under the framework of EU. Later, Erasmus started to be used as the common name for all sorts of programs. High school level projects, elementary level, money, comenius. The point here is to eliminate the confusion, make this program more common and well known across Europe. Why EU gives funds for these projects? Because they want to encourage teachers come together, share their produced materials they use while teaching, and then customize things I mean here, and then share their experience. Young teachers coming, meeting with the experienced one, and then they share their ideas. After finishing their projects, they disseminate the results, outcomes of this project. They produce materials, products, substantial things to share with their colleagues. In some part, globalization in here used in a dissemination of knowledge between schools across Europe. When we consider these things in broader meaning, context, we can spread this to all the countries across the world, and then the leaders may come together and then grant funds the schools to encourage the teachers come together, collaborate to yielding good things to help the schools and students to improve themselves. In this part, I would like to share my experiences with you in another slide, introducing Muntazim Gymnasium. Before introducing Muntazim Gymnasium, I want to share a few things with you. I also utilize this Erasmus program. And thanks to this program, I visited many countries, maybe all of the countries across Europe, thanks to the funds granted by the EU. And I visited many schools during my transnational visit. Why I picked Muntazim Gymnasium? Because it stands out because of the quality of education, nature of the education, and then the fact that they give huge importance to these student exchange programs. In Muntazim Gymnasium, you see in the picture, okay, while I was there, I took these photographs myself. Okay, I want to share these photos with you. The one point I want to share with you, they encourage their kids to take part in this exchange programs. All the students, without any discrimination, providing funds and engaging their parents, they execute these exchange programs. During these projects, the students make a plan, timetable on their own, and then they establish their groups after picking the country they are going to visit. While they stay in that country, they take notes about their project, and then they stay the host families together, not only just to execute their project, but also see the cultural differences, traditional assets of these nations they live now in, and then they test the food, lots of things. They learn to look in a different way, different points of view into one subject. Their aim is very noble, I think. Today, I learned that they excavated a well in India to help the poor people suffering from shortage of water. It's an amazing thing. Students coming together under a very noble, project. If they do not implement these types of projects, how can the students aware of the needs of these people living in disadvantaged areas? Another thing seen in the slide 4, Müncastim Gymnasium, sorry for not giving some important information about Müncastim Gymnasium. Müncastim Gymnasium is located in Kolding, Denmark. It's a gymnasium. Gymnasium means grammar school. It's a grammar school. So if the students want to enroll this school, they should sit very tough examination. Yes, tough examination to get the right to enroll this school. It's an amazing. The infrastructure, the second point I want to share about Müncastim Gymnasium, is the infrastructure of this school. Amazing. School furnished with computers. If we talk about how they teach, teachers really have postgraduate degrees. It's very hard to teach in that school. So they are supposed to hold PhD degree, doctoral degree, to teach in that school. The class lasts approximately 90 minutes. You may think that it's too long. How can I stand one teacher for 90 minutes? But in first 15 minutes, teachers introduce the subject and then give assignments and homework. If the doing math class, maybe ask some questions, or history may ask them to complete a project. After 15 minutes, whether students stay in the classroom or move out of the classroom. As I said, all the spaces, rooms, quarters furnished with STEAM things, armchairs, stools. By the way, all the students bring their computers to classroom. They do their assignments through their own computers. Interconnectedness really highlighted here while executing this program. And then students are not generally enforced to follow one certain mandated timetable. They pick the classes they want to attend, and then they just be in that time where the classes are in session. Otherwise, they rest. They do not go to school. After completing their assignments, they return back to classroom and then present their assignments, what they have found, what they have learned on their own using internet-based sources, utilizing all sorts of books, web pages while preparing their projects. This is really amazing. I also observed a science class there. Science classes are taught on-hand education. Students work in groups, 5 or 4, and all the groups given different projects. And then students throughout one semester try to implement their project. For example, one group was preparing the impacts of gravity. How can we measure the impacts of gravity on different objects? Students dropping something heavier, the things with different sizes and heavy from some certain height on the ground. They use boxes and fill sand, these boxes, and then drop these objects onto the sand in the box, and then they measure the differences of the impact. And they, in here, I understood that they try to understand the nature of the gravity, conducting projects. That's why these students are very, very successful in the A-level exams, university entrance exam we call. In the UK, it's called A-level exam, GCSE exams maybe, SAT exams generally applied for the students we want to go American universities. This is very amazing. The third point, maybe this is more interesting. Students are the administrator of the school. Yes, there is an administration department, and there is a principal, vice principal, teachers. But students are the focus or the core of the decision-taking process. For example, if any activity are to be organized at school, students decide that. If a student did something wrong and disciplinary inquiry should be set, students do that. And they use school as a habitat. For example, the most important thing is on Friday, after the classes, they stay at school and then give parties, enjoy their time at school. They use school quarters as I said, as a habitat, their house. Okay, let's come to another slide. In this part of my presentation, I want to give information about what employers and companies require while recruiting a staff or staff for their company. I watched a video of Thomas Friedman, the author of Flat World. In the book, he says that being average is over. Okay, if you consider yourself that I have a diploma, I have certificates as Haluk Karatas, 2 certificates, okay? No, it's not enough. Why? Because advance of AI, artificial intelligence today, making many people redundant. The jobs started to be scarce. Positions occupied by bots, robots. For example, X-ray analysis. Okay, the doctors doing these things, was doing these things in the past, but today bots do that. Instead of doctors, bots analyze these X-ray photos and then decide what diagnosis to be executed here. I read an article about that 5 well-known cardiologists asked to tell their opinion and find out the patients might suffer cardiac arrest in the future. They are well-known doctors, but they missed some diagnosis. But artificial intelligence bot didn't. They spotted all the malfunctioning parts of the heart, if it is in cardiovascular system, easily spotted. So we understand that we are going to live with robots, bots, and then today we know that well-written articles written by bots. We can't make any difference when we analyze these things. So, if knowledge is important for recruitment of a person, the bots say that Google knows everything. We don't need anyone knowing everything. We need someone having skills. So skills-based education coming forward in here. If you want to arm our students with skills, we should at first understand the main nature of the working environment. We should adopt tertiary educations into new trend of digitalization. So employers generally looking for someone adding something to their company, additional values, who will make me earn more money. How this company can evolve in a better way, improve themselves, maybe recruiting the skilled workers, staff, not the diploma holders. That's why half of American university students drop out of their schools. This is very important. A huge number, flocks of students quitting their schools. Why? Well-known schools. Because the schools fail to meet their needs. They want to learn new things. They want to learn coding, Python, okay, how they can become a startup, setting up his own, her own business. That's why universities need for transformation. Transformation in a digitalization. Today, when we look at Japan, okay, approximately 350 top positions are filled with Indian nationals. Why? Why do you think that these Indians generally occupy these really prestigious positions? In a country, Japan is a migrant-shy country. They do not accept migrants to their country, but they give the high positions, prestigious positions, these jobs to foreigners, Indians, not Americans, Indians. Why? Because Indian schools giving huge importance to ICT education. This is very, very important, crucial. Without ICT literacy, okay, what you know is, yes, some extent important, but today's world, online world, digitalized world, should be supported by ICT knowledge skills as well. Otherwise, we will lose our job to the bots. We should adapt ourselves to need system. Okay, in this part, I'm going to show you a video. Was I will show a video about globalization and e-learning. In which way? Okay.
What is e-learning? E-learning stands for electronic learning. It allows users to take courses online using electronic devices such as a computer, tablet, and even a smartphone. With e-learning, users can take courses from all around the world, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. E-learning is a proven and effective way to educate your students while tracking their participation and assessment, all at a small fraction of the cost of traditional training. Using e-learning in your business, you can remove travel costs for your students as well as accommodations, training material, and teacher salary costs. E-learning courses are easy to maintain and update. With the power of e-learning, you allow your users to learn at their own pace and present them with engaging learning through the use of audio, video, interactive games, simulations. eLearning Media Inc. is an industry leader in e-learning development, and we are here to answer your questions and help you develop your first e-learning course. Learn how we do it at e-learningmedia.com. eLearning Media Inc. Be brilliant.
I hope you enjoyed the video. In the video, you see that all the comprised devices connected each other. So we are living in an environment that which is wired with cables. Cables connecting the world. The cables generally used as a web network to combine people to each other, removing all these barriers, collapsing the walls, weakening the borders. Because of these technological devices, interconnected devices, we can communicate everyone. We can access any information we need. We see sometimes people use for these bad things, using information on the internet. They device new things, and so responsible use of this network is primary concern. Okay, we should teach our young generation how to utilize this interconnected world. In this part of my presentation, I want to introduce you MOOC. MOOC stands for Massive Open Online Courses. You know that today world, mankind suffering from COVID-19 disease. A virus generally stuck us in our houses. We can't leave our own comfort zone. Our houses are scared of being infected with this disease. I'm going to talk later about the impacts of COVID on education, but I couldn't omit the impacts of COVID on MOOC education. MOOC education started before COVID pandemic. It becomes more and more vital today in the age of this pandemic. Why well-known universities convert their education to online courses? As I said, for American universities I'm talking about, most of these universities started to lose their students because of not meeting their demand. The students want to acquire skills, so they want to learn how to use ICT devices and learn new languages, code writing, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality. They want to get information about these things, deep learning. And then they want to go to courses, crash courses, to get the information they need in a short time. So they want to follow these courses. I also took one of these courses online as well. I'm going to introduce these when I'm introducing these platforms. I'm going to talk about these things as well. Why people generally prefer massive open online courses? It's written on the slide. It reads out that career development, changing careers, college preparation, supplemental learning, lifelong learning, corporate learning, and training. Yes, if we need promotion, get more salary, better working conditions, we need promotion. How we can get this promotion? Acquiring new skills, learning ICT, okay, how to use ICT devices. I forgot to share one thing while talking about the Erasmus Plus projects. The main objective of EU initiating this project, one aim is to encourage teachers share their experience, good examples they apply while teaching. Another thing is to encourage teachers, okay, attract girls into IT majors. Why? Because girls generally not prefer getting into IT world. Boys prefer doing these things, getting this education. But EU sees that in near future, approximately 2 million new IT engineers need to be employed in the companies. They need recruit 2 million new IT engineers. So they want to attract girls into these majors. So for this purpose, they initiate a program. So why I prefer the move, okay, in here, to encourage, if there are girls in my audience, they should pick one of these areas as well. But without this thing, it's impossible to survive in the futuristic life habitat. Okay, let's come to slide 8. You see globalization and learning platforms. The well-known one in here, Khan Academy. Khan Academy approximately executing their teaching, okay, approximately a decade, with the sponsorship of Bill Gates. Bill Gates is a philanthropist, making huge investment on education. I want to extend my appreciation and gratitude for this person as well, generally investing his fortune for good means, good areas to encourage people learning new skills. Khan Academy generally address primary, middle, and secondary school students. I took courses on edX. I recommend you to utilize the courses or learn new things on edX. edX offers huge range of courses. I took Python. It's really very, very easy to follow, learn new things. Why? Because MIT professor giving the classes, while he was talking, what he was saying, streaming next to the video. It's really easy to follow the subtitles of the speaker through this video. And there are debate platforms there. Students discuss the questions answered. By the way, students are asked to complete some exams in some certain time. It's not very, it's easy, it's not very difficult. Everyone can do that. If you struggle to understand what is spoken on the video, the other students will help you to understand the subject and answer the question correctly to complete the course. My course was set for in completion of 3 months, and maybe this time, completion time may change, varies. Another one is Udemy. Udemy is very famous in Turkey. I see many young people taking courses from this platform as well. And Coursera, they offer these educations free of charge. edX also offers these courses free of charge. But if you want to get a certificate, they ask you to some money. Okay, they charge you approximately 50 American dollars for each certificate. In this part of my presentation, I want to talk about PISA exams. What does PISA stands for? PISA stands for Program for International Student Assessment. Why countries encourage their kids to sit in these exams because they want to compare their educational programs with the ones applied in different countries. These examinations are held in 3 subjects. One is science, maths, and reading. 15 years old students sit in those exams. Why countries need to use a benchmark to measure their education? Because sometimes they fail to understand the needs of their educational programs or the school's needs, teachers' needs. When we look at which countries are successful in those exams, we see that small countries generally do better. Some schools in Chinese cities, for example, Shanghai city, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Finland. Why Finland? Finland becomes very, very popular in respect of the PISA exams because they apply different educational programs. Generally, they employ the teachers with doctoral degrees. They encourage the teachers to go on their post-graduation and complete their degrees and start as a teacher. And also, they pick very successful students, not the average one, low graders in some countries. They pick the smartest one for this profession and then invest huge money on the teachers' development. That's why they achieving really good success and then occupying the top ranking in the PISA exam. Turkey in the last exam held in 2019 did great, lived in especially reading, understanding, and maths. This is encouraging for us, but we should understand that if we customize the education, if you do not give education only very selected ones for the elite ones at our schools, we will see that the cumulative success of the nations will emerge. As I said, China just only want their students living in China and others. But in whole scale, when we measure the education in the whole country, we see that it's generally they are at bottom. But some cities, they are successful. Another thing I want to say about Chinese schools, they send their kids in hordes to Western universities to acquire the knowledge there. They give huge importance to education of foreign languages. Okay, the most important thing here, COVID-19. We are passing through very tough time. COVID wreaking havoc across the world, killing many people across the world. But mortality rates, when we consider the mortality rate, it's high in elderly people, and then people suffering another disease, heart disease, cardiovascular disease, and kidney disease, especially immune deficit disease. These are the major diseases. Virus are really effective and killing people. We should be responsible, respecting others' rights, wearing masks and keeping our distance, and care about body hygiene. COVID really has huge impact on education. Enforce all the universities, Ivy University in the United States or Harvard, for example, registered not to convey their education to online platforms or registered to go on their traditional way of teaching. But COVID neared them. They decided to go on online for their courses. The picture was very impressive. A 91 years old professor trying to give only online courses. Okay, his granddaughter was helping him to use the ICT device. Whenever I talk about the education, I always start to talk about ICT, Jose. This is very, very important. So, the education in the near future, we see that gain a hybrid nature. Some classes are to be given in person at school, okay? Some courses will continue to be taught online after COVID, I think. It's inevitable. And then schools, Ministry of Education, all the people learn the importance of online education. We can't avoid the contributions of these online platforms in improving the quality of education. Yeah, some professions, for example, medicine, engineering, yes, it's indispensable for students to learn things on hand education. But others, teachers, foreign languages, for example, can be given online. Okay, thank you very much for watching my conference. Okay, let's come to question and answer session. I hope you enjoyed. Sorry for disruptions sometimes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Haluk. We are very excited to hear your conference. Of course, it's very, very important now that we are living in this virtual learning and we were forced to learn so fast about this, about all things and techniques and things to do the streaming and everything that comes with learning. I would like to give you some greetings from several countries and several important people in MILSET. The first one, it's a very special greeting from Mr. Jean-Claude Giraldon. He is MILSET Honorary President. He is watching us from France. Well, he sends you many, many greetings. Also, Marilu Aceves, she is watching us from Spain. She says, congratulations for the conference. Ms. Maria Angelica Riquelme, MILSET AMLAT President from Chile, people from Mexico, Turkey, and they are very glad to watch your conference. Now we're going to start the question and answer section. We will have 10 minutes to this section, so well, let's start. The first question.
Okay, getting into this session, I want to extend my appreciation for those people for these beautiful words and opinions. Thank you very much for watching this program.
Thank you, Mr. Haluk. Okay, let's start with the first question. So this question says, will e-learning replace in the close future traditional education on-site?
Yes. in the near future, education will form a hybrid nature, as I said. For some majors, for example, medicine and engineering, education will continue. But for many other majors, we may do this online. And then we also know that Japan produced robot teachers. Robots will teach languages to us, both teaching us through the internet. Okay, I really consider that we may learn from each other, both men from both from men. By the way, Tesla, I think, invented a microchip, and he claims that inserting these chips, we can sort out some problem. As we saw in the movies of Matrix, we may use microchips and insert these chips into brains of man, and then download whatever we want on these chips. Then sort out the education problem, maybe in the near future. But if we be realistic, after COVID-19, I think that some classes will go on being taught in a traditional way, but most of them online.
Okay. Yeah, complex reality. Talking about virtual reality. Yes. Okay, another question from Mr. Haluk Khan. He thank you for this great presentation. And he asked, in today's world, young people tend to work abroad. Today, working abroad is much more easier than 10 years ago. Do you think that exchange programs have an effect on this fact?
When we talk about globalization, we should consider the negative impacts of globalization on education as well. One of is the brain drain. Most of the students, young people in living in disadvantaged area, prefer to go on their tertiary education abroad. Especially they prefer American universities, European universities. They follow the scholarships and they try to get the scholarships. They prefer these countries because of many reasons why there are wars in their countries and unequal conditions there, and then inadequate quality of education there. Yes, these people, I can't say that you shouldn't go there. Yes, in the past, before the COVID-19 and then the MOOC, yes, they should go abroad for their tertiary. But today, universities moving to a click away at their houses. They can follow these universities online. In near future, this will accelerate and change the nature of education. Another point I want to make here is that commercialization and the commoditization of education becoming more and more significant today. Okay, why some American universities insist on in-person education? Because they are afraid of losing their international students. They charge these students more than their own students. So in UK, this became a big problem for universities. Why? Because the government imposed curfews and lockdowns for the universities. That they say that the universities are the hotspots of the virus. So these closures could encourage the students to go on this university, and then maybe they will say that you should pay my tuition fees back. Why? Because I don't want to stay here. I don't want to stay in a country curfews are enforced. Okay, this is very complex issue. We will see, understand, better in which way we are going to take after the vaccination or after the vaccination offered for the COVID-19.
Yes, a lot of things to think about, Mr. Haluk. Just reflecting about that. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Haluk. Next question is about how lockdown due to pandemic has affected the learning process.
As I said that, in Turkey, for example, if we go to a case study of Turkey, Turkey opened the nursery and primary schools, and then students go to school observing some regulations, hygiene regulations imposed by the Ministry of Education. In near future, it's claimed that 3rd of November, 9th and 5th grades also start in-person education. This is huge disruption. Many countries really are in total lockdown, and then started education. Germany, for example, South Korea started education, but after the rapid spread of the virus, they started to lock down the schools and close the schools again. Why? Because health comes first. We can't sacrifice, we can't make concessions about the well-being of our young generation. But the other point, this generation losing ground, not going to school. In the past, students always complain about going to school, complain about the teachers, in-person education. But now, they are looking forward to meet their friends and teachers. By the way, another point, we are social beings. We need to come together. The schools are the main spot. We socialize, we establish friendships, we complete our emotional beings. Without school, I think there is something missing in our completeness, I think.
Yeah, our social skills of being together, that's what we need. That's right. Next question. We will try to go a little bit faster because we have a few times and we have a lot of questions. But next question says, do technical or technological skills will become more important than social ones after pandemic?
Yes, as I said, Jose is a good example today. Without his support, we couldn't establish this amazing conference. Using digital devices is indispensable. It's the basic. If you want to do something different in the future, if you want to get a good job, you want to be recruited, and want to work in a really big company, international company, the first thing required for this is the knowledge, good knowledge, command of ICT. Another one is English. We can't underestimate the importance of English. Without English, I couldn't address you, share my point. Why China established this huge leap in technology? created 5G technology. They sent their students to American University. They taught them foreign language, English, and they using English, this language, acquired the knowledge, and then carried this knowledge into their country and started this development. Japan did the same thing in the past. We can't underestimate the importance of good command of ICT, machine learning, adopted, and then the language, foreign language, especially English. Many people may say that using English maybe create Americanness, cultural deterioration of indigenous people. But in some points, we keep our mother tongue as well. I speak Turkish, I read Turkish books, I learn my culture. But we live in a global village. We should curb our extremities to become one. We understand each other through this, relationship, collaboration. We will eliminate xenophobia, stereotypes, racism, discrimination, sexist approaches. How can we establish bonds between us by utilizing the ICT technology, but the language of technology, English? Okay, if we teach our young people English, they will establish bonds. What is the main function of MILSET? MILSET tries to create platforms for the young people, not only express their point of view, project view. Yes, this is also important. But another thing, establish friendship. Okay, eliminate the barriers, eliminate xenophobia, eliminate misunderstanding, eliminate racism. These are stereotypes. These are very, very important things. And then these people socialize with each other and then go on to communicate with each other, establishing bonds. And then when they occupy their very important position in the future in their countries, they maybe look into the issues, problems in the point of view their friends. They start to understand. Yes, I see maybe we deviated from the question, but yes, ICT knowledge is very, very important. But another thing, you should produce another thing, the useful things using ICT knowledge, gaining skills. These are very, very important.
Thank you very much, Mr. Haluk. Thank you for mentioning MILSET. Yes, of course, you were pretty right on our aim, and we hope this pandemic can end to continue this interacting and promoting the social skills among young people and also teachers all over the world. The last question, we have many ones, but we will send them to you. And we'll try to answer to the audience. The last question is from Mexico, from Red, MILSET member. It says, what is the role of education platforms and implement artificial intelligence to create learning profiles in the students?
Okay, yeah. These MOOC platforms offering huge range of courses. Okay, you coding language, learn coding language. Especially, I prefer to learn Python. You can use this, learn this, and then start to write your own code, inventing your devices. When we look at the projects exhibited on MILSET, okay, expositions, we see these, how the students use their knowledge in producing these things. Of course, have huge impact in the profile of the students. They will improve themselves. They will acquire the basic skills to be used in the future. As he said, artificial intelligence becomes part of our life. We see survey camera everywhere. And then when we get into any website, we see really the advert addressing to us, advertising. Why? Because the bots processing our clicks and then producing new profiles for us while we searching something. It's unlikely to avoid learning these skills. We should encourage our students to take these online courses, MOOC courses. edX, amazing, and very, very easy. Why easy? Because very experienced teachers teaching these courses. And then another advantage of these courses is to improve your language skills as well. Yeah, I recommend them to learn some coding languages are very important, and then this will help them to write their own codes, and we can use machine learning for in many areas, deep learning in many areas. As I said, big data affecting our today's life. Now we can't avoid these types of realities will be dominant in our life in the future.
Thank you very much, Mr. Haluk. I really would like to ask all the questions we have. We have like 16 questions for you. I am, and I think the audience is really interested about what you are saying, and very important for our future and for young people to think about and invent a new world, because we are now in a different world with different parameters. So thank you very much, Mr. Haluk. We will send you all the questions to see how can we answer to the audience and let them know about your answers. And well, one more time, we are very grateful to have you here. It was an amazing conference, and I will hand the floor to Mrs. Bere Suarez. She will give the closing remarks. Thank you very much.
Pleasure mine. Thank you very much. Likewise.
Well, Mr. Haluk, thanks so much again for your outstanding introduction and your outstanding contribution with this activity. I think that we have few time to answer a lot of questions because your conference was so rich, making these points so clear about the strategies to keep learning. And thanks for giving this information that I'm pretty sure that will be useful for everybody and for all the youths that are watching this stream in live, because they will have an idea of how to improve their education, even if they can't be, because of pandemic or because economic situation, to be in another place of the world. Well, the idea is to use our technologies to improve our learning, but always thinking that social skills are also important to the development of the complete human being. So on behalf of MILSET, please receive a big hug from us to Turkey, and I let this mic to my colleague Liz.
Sorry, I forgot mic. sorry. So thank you very much to everybody. Thank you, Bere. I would like to give a special thanks to Jose Alberto Garcia, who is our IT coordinator in MILSET. He's always behind the cameras, but he's the one who makes this streaming possible. I also would like to invite you one more time to register to the MILSET World Virtual Conferences, the debate tables for people from between 13 to 25 years old. We extended the registration deadline to 23 October. So you still have some time to be part of this great experience. And also we will invite you to follow us on social media to know more about the activities we have related to YCC, and also to try to check some about the MILSET Science Photo Contest. You can also be part of this great contest. We're just very soon to close the registration. So thank you very much to everybody. Thank you very much to our authorities, to the audience, and to my colleagues. Thank you, Bere. Thank you, Mr. Roberto Hidalgo, Mr. President. Goodbye, and see you in the next activity.